I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. So today we're going to do a little bit of experimentation with liquid shellac. The first thing I'm going to do is to remove a jewel from a roller table of an existing pocket watch that I have. It's a scrap movement. It is a Waltham scrap movement and it's a size 18. And I'm going to dip that balance staff and all into isopropyl alcohol to try to loosen the jewel. Then I'm going to dry it out and see if I can apply liquid shellac to reinstall that jewel. I'm just working on a technique right now. So you guys might have heard of my dunker tank. So this is my dunker tank. So what I do here is I put the watch balance cock on here, and then the balance will hang down here, and I can clean the balance. I raise that up and it dips or dunks the balance usually I use lighter fluid. So lighter fluid to clean the actual hairspring of the balance. That's the only reason I use this for. So, but today I'm going to just use, and these are two very nicely minted Canadian $1 coins called loonies. So, and I managed to use these loonies as my screws. So see how that works? I turn this way and I turn this way, and the tank rises. And I've got these two pillars here, and it's all take-offable or take-apartable. So if I do that, you can see, and there's the screws and the threaded posts I made, and that all went into this here, and it's a pretty cool little device and a design. So I did this so I could quickly clean a hairspring without having to disassemble everything. So there you go. That's the dunker tank, and I have this here so that when you lower it, the balance sits nice and softly on this leather. It's like faux leather, and everything's cool. So, but today I'm going to use this part of the dunker tank, and I'm going to fill this with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, 99% alcohol, right? Not drinkable, it's rubbing alcohol, but 99% alcohol, and we're just going to pour some in here. I'm hoping not to make that much of a mess, but this stuff cleans up pretty easily. So, and that's a lot of alcohol in there. I think I may have put too much in. Anyway, every time I smell it, I think I'm in a hospital. So there's the alcohol, and the jewel is right here. This is the balance staff, and there's the jewel. You can see that jewel. So I'm going to try to loosen this jewel if I can by just throwing in this in the IPA and dunking it in and leaving it in there for quite a while. And then that should loosen that jewel up, and then we'll get back and see if I can remove that jewel from the table. Now what I'm going to do is remove the jewel from the table. I'm going to dry up all the parts, and then I'm going to use my liquid shellac to re-shellac that jewel in place. And I'm going to try to do that without removing the roller table. So this is what I'd like to do, and I'm not sure if I can do it, because normally you would remove the roller table and work on the new jewel, and you'd be using a different tool to support that. Now the tool you'd use to support that is my Tyrannosaurus Rex tool, or it's those monsters in Jurassic Park that were chasing those kids around. Anyway, and you push the button on the bottom like this, and the mouth opens, and then right in there is where you put the roller table. So you'd grab the roller table this way, like that. You'd grab it with this tool, like this, and then you'd heat the end of this, and the heat would transfer from the end here to the end here, which would loosen up the actual jewel in the roller table. I was trying to loosen up the jewel using IPA this time, and I was just trying to do this whole activity without any heat at all. So see if I can improve the process and make it easier. And there are a few guys online that show you how to do that, but they typically remove the roller table when they do it. So I'm going to see if it's doable this way. I may still use this tool just to hold everything as I do that, but I would clamp the back of this tool in one of my vices, so for stability. So this has quickly become my favorite little vise here. It's got a very heavy base on it, and this tightens, and when it's loose, there's a crack right there. And this actually, when you tighten this, it pulls this outward, which makes this stable within this mount inside here. It makes it stable. But when it's not pulled, when it's not clamped, you can actually pull down and move it. So you can move this around like that to give you angles. But the second you add pressure on there, it pulls these apart, which clamps it inside the vise. So someone was very smart when they designed this. The only problem I have with using this is that I don't want to clamp this to the degree where it's going to crack the wood. So I'm just a little nervous about that. And so I probably wrap this in an old dirty cloth of some sort, like this one here. And then that allows me to just clamp down on it a bit more, and the snugness of the cloth will ensure that the handle doesn't crack on this, hopefully. So the other tool I have is a micrometer stand. So I just love tools, as you guys know. So I haven't seen this tool since I stored it. I forgot I even bought this. So this is a micrometer stand, and this just squeezes the micrometer in the middle there. So here's how this stand works. It folds in like this, and then you unfold it, and it's super heavy. And then you unscrew this. Now you can see there's little knobbies, or little things in there. This stays relatively flat, so it doesn't come out at an angle. It just rides on the edge here, I think, which makes it stay flat. So, and it just unscrews like that. Now, if this device can snug into here, it might be better because I've got these little rubber pads here. So if I squeeze it down here, just get the fat part in there, and then turn it around like that, like this, and then squeeze down here, like that, then that should hold this. Let me just squeeze down a bit. And I'm just testing it for its rigidity. So that's not too bad right there. So that holds it in place, and it's got a little bit of, there's rubber pads here. Now I could see if I could find rubber pads for this other one here. And now when I just press the button here, as you can see, it comes open. So now I can have my work right here, and I can squeeze onto this roller table. I'll just show you how this works here, because I know it'll evaporate after. So I'll just take the roller table out. It's a little bit full of isopropyl alcohol right now, but this goes inside like this. Let me just push down like that and squeeze that in. It goes in just like that. So it's being held in place this way. Of course, I have the jewel on the wrong side, so let me just, the jewel of the Nile. Just move that over. So I have access to the jewel, and then squeeze that in. All right, see if I can get a good view of that. And there's two grooves in this Tyrannosaurus Rex tool there. And you got to make sure the roller table is in those grooves. So there it is there, and it's inside the grooves, as you can see. So now I've got kind of a stable way of working with this jewel, right? Now, I could take the roller table off the balance staff, which I've done a million times, and then work the jewel and then replace it. But it's a little tougher to do that. I'd really love to be able to do it this way. I could also just apply a candle on here and heat that up. Let me show you what that looks like. And there's what you call a spirit lamp, and the spirit lamp actually has angles on it, so you can actually move the spirit lamp like that. Let me see. I don't think this is too much of an angle, I think. There we go. So the spirit lamp's like that, but obviously I'd have to put this on a box or something to get it up higher. And then the spirit lamp, you heat up the back of this thing here, and it transfers the heat onto here, and then it just takes you can remove the jewel there. So it's possible to do the work on the jewel this way. Theoretically, it won't transfer enough heat to the balance or the hairsprings. And actually, when you see the photographs of this tool here, it shows this tool being used, grabbing a roller table like this with everything else attached. That's how it shows the photo. Although I've always taken off the roller table, and other people are kind of freaked out about this and have said that I wouldn't do that because it would likely find its way to the hairspring, right? So you could take the hairspring off. That's not a big job. It's taking that roller table off that's a little bit tricky, and there is a chance of cracking the roller table, even though I don't think I've ever done that, but there is a slight chance of doing that. So I'm hoping the IPA plus the Liquid Shellac, which is now in great condition, by the way. So if you look at that Liquid Shellac, you see how that's moving right now? That is exactly what I wanted. A little tiny bit of movement, and when you take it out, it should come out as a string, and I'll be able to just put it on the hole where the jewel goes in, and then push the jewel in, and then turn this around and then do it on the other side. And I can also turn this around using this device here. So I loosen that up and just flip it around, and then you have similar access. See, just make sure that's stable. Yeah? You have similar access to the jewel from this side, right? So you can get to the top of it from that side to put a little bit of shellac on there to shellac the very top of it. So that's the plan, but I'm going to do a trial run on this here setting, or jewel balanced staff and roller table and jewel setting, just to make sure everything's fine. I may do a few trial runs on it just to make sure I've got the technique down. So here's the box the tool came in. AccuSize micrometer stand. There's the number. It's an S907-C153 if you're looking at buying one of these. And brand new. So I bought this. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I wanted a good micrometer stand. And then I found the other one. So I'm super sick of waiting, so I'm going to just take this balance and put this in here and see if I can speed up the process here by heating this up. What do you think? Only because I hate waiting. I think I just do this with my fingers. It's a lot easier. You just have to make sure that it's squeezed on both sides of this pincher. I think we're in there good now. Yeah, that's good enough. That's on both sides now. So now I just have to get out my spirit lamp. Put a little alcohol in that baby and light her on fire till I see that jewel getting loose, hopefully. I'm going to try to do this without blowing up my camera as well. So I might need a bit of more of an angle on this to get further away. So just do that. And I'll light this up. Spirit lamp. Ooh. There we go. So it's lit. And there's no real danger in this now, yet. So I'll just heat this up here on the end. Try not to burn my camera. Make sure there's not a lot of heat in front of the camera. I think we're good. And there's the configuration. It's always fun to watch somebody burning something. And just put my hand here for a second so you can see what that looks like. I don't know if any of this balance has got leftover alcohol on it, but if it does, it'll evaporate. And I should be able to, once this heats up, I should be able to remove this impulse jewel from there. And I'm just going to lean in and then pick the impulse jewel up. Shouldn't be a problem. I try to get a bit of a closer view. I put my hand here so I get a focus on this, and now it's heating up the claw here. The claw, not the claw, the claw. I'm just grabbing this impulse jewel to see if there's any movement in it at all. Now, for this impulse jewel, it would be the heat. It would be the shellac that's kind of on the inside, because it looked pretty darn clean. So it's probably that shellac, which might take a few minutes to heat up and get going. Got it. So there's the jewel. Use the blowing out technique. And I'll show you the jewel. I'm trying not to drop this jewel. There is the jewel, folks. I'm holding that with taking ever so much care. There we go. That's the jewel there. So I'm going to see if I can wash this off with IPA. And I'm just going to put this jewel down on the mat. Right there. And I probably should put a little dot on there with my pen, or I'll forget where it is. So I took my jewel and I put it over where the microscope is. Now, should I show you me cleaning it with the microscope? I don't know. All right, here's a close-up of the jewel. That looks pretty good close-up there. And you can see that there's still, I'm going to use a screwdriver this time to have a look here. You can see there's still material on the jewel. You see, if I get my screwdriver in here, you can see there's still a little bit of stuff on that jewel right on the edge. So what I'm going to do, I dipped a brush in IPA, and I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to find out where the jewel is here, and I'm just going to wet this surface like that, right? So now, and this is the back end of a piece of sandpaper, so I'm not too concerned about it, and the IPA will obviously it'll dissolve or evaporate without a problem, right? So let me just focus in here again to make sure we're completely focused. And I'm going to look at my screen more than I look at the other one. So, and I'm going to move this away over a bit. So that's the jewel there. And now what I want to do is scrape off the remaining material. Now I don't know if I can do this without using the stereo part of my microscope, because really I'm just using the back end part. So there we go, look at that. So that's coming off nicely. And I'm just using the tip of my screwdriver here. That little piece of material came off nicely. And let me get rid of that stuff there. And I got some more stuff right on the edge there that I need to work off. And there, that's good. Now, if I can turn that over. So it just flung, so now I have to stop and see if I can find it. Alright, there it is. We're back in business, folks. Back in business. It flung, but it didn't fling that far, so I wasn't as concerned. And you saw the alcohol is all evaporated now. So I'm going to just have a look at this jewel, see what condition it's in. Again, I'm using the wrong side of my tweezers, but I'm trying to just illustrate how this job works. So that's the back end of the jewel. It looks like it's fairly shellac free, which is nice. And again, I'm just barely holding this thing. So I rub that with the screwdriver just a bit. I probably could get a smaller screwdriver. And I'm just going to see if I can roll that around, and that's pretty clean there. So I'd say I got about 90% off. There's still a little piece on the edge here that I want to get off. It's right there. Right on the edge, folks. So I see that little piece is right here. And there, that's gone now. So I think that's good enough. That's pretty darn clean. And I'm going to get out the IPA again and just brush it. And I got leftover IPA on this brush. I'm going to try to get the this in view again. It's pretty tough when you're using this microscope here, and I've got one eyepiece I'm using. I wish I had a microscope with the camera built into it. Had I known years ago that I'd be doing all these videos, I would have done that. So I'm going to do my last little bit of cleaning there. And I'm just using a very fine paintbrush for that. So that should do, and you'll see how quickly this IPA dissolves, or evaporates. So that's it. That's the jewel. It looks like it's ready for installation. I'll have to let that dry off. You can use watchmaker's paper, but if you look at the outer diameter of that setting, you can see how that outer diameter is shrinking. This is a great representation of how evaporation works with alcohol. Look at that. It's almost all gone. And the paper is almost dry now. So there, it's gone, gone, gone. It doesn't take long at all. And there now, and this is not even in fast motion. This is normal speed. And now you can see the jewel drying off right now. It's drying from the inside as well, or from the other side. And I think it should be dry by now. Let me get in here with my tweezers again. And that, my friends, is what you call a dry jewel. That's all ready now for installation. I'm just going to show you me packing this camera up. So there's the camera there. So let me see, get a good close-up on this thing. Is it upside down? Yes, it is. That way you can order one of these cameras. It's a CAT microscope digital camera. CMOS is 5, I think. So yeah, 5.0 MP. And it's USB 2 and DC 5 volts, and that's it there. It's a CMOS camera. There's the serial number, so you can have a peek at that. CMOS part number. There's the part number. You just turn this around so you can read the part number. And that's if you're interested in one of these cameras. So, and if you have a microscope, what this does is it fits in the microscope with an adapter. So you have to put an eyepiece adapter in the microscope, and the adapter looks like this here. And you've plopped that in a microscope, and then the camera goes inside of the adapter. it plops in here, and then you're good to go. It's actually on the other side, but it's that way, and then you're good to go. And it comes with 2 different adapters, so I use this one here for my microscope, and just pack this away with the cord. And again, this one here is USB 2. I got it quite a few years ago, but as you can see, it gives you a pretty good shot. And there's the box, which is American for box. And here's where I take the lens out of the microscope. I just remove that lens so I can look through this lens here. While I'm working with the other lens, the camera goes in here and I can use it like that. So this is a gorgeous microscope. I love it. It's a Cardin. It's an DS Zulu, Delta Sierra Zulu 70. So, and you got a couple of handles on both sides. One handle is used for focus, and the other handle is used for zoom, and then it's got a ring light on it here. So I just turn that ring light, and it's got a great base. So that's the microscope. In the background, you can see a whole bunch of watch stuff back there. Look at all that crap. Holy Jesus. Because I'm an incredibly innovative individual, I have a board here that the microscope is on. And so when I'm done working with it, I just swing it back into its position like that. And for you people that think I've lost my sense of humor, this is where the wick is, the John wick. Oh my God. Stop it. Just stop it. And now for some advice. If you don't want to lose parts while you're working and you're going to take a very small jewel, which is incredibly small. Can you see that jewel there? And you don't want to lose it. What you do is you take your watchmaker's mat, and this one here needs some work anyway. So, and you draw. This one has got nice little dimensional kind of shit happening here. So I'm going to draw it like that, like that, like that, and like that. And so this gives me what I would call a target. So now I'm going to take that jewel and very carefully move that to the target. And look how small that thing is. I'm holding that with the tension of Kung Fu. So there. That jewel now is in the center of my target. Keep my elbows away from that. Keep my hands away from that. And now I know I can just access that jewel to put into the watch. So there is the... It's always about focus. There's the watch now. It's in position to accept that jewel. So I took it out this way, cleaned it, right? And now I can put it back. Now I might use the exact same technique as I use there, but what I want to do here is I think I'll flatten this a bit, because before it's got a little bit of an angle to it. So I want to make sure it's flat. So I'm going to move that down a bit and just do one more little turn on this device. I don't want to crack it, so I want to wrap that in rubber eventually, right? So I can put this in here or put rubber in the stand. So that's it there. Now I got to make sure that the upper and lower part of this jewel, I know what they are. So yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and I think I can figure that out. So what I'm going to do, this jewel would be dry right now. So I've got some liquid shellac here. This is the liquid shellac I prepared before. So I'm going to use a needle and put a little tiny bit of liquid shellac on this hole here. And then I'm going to grab the jewel very carefully with an attempt to place the jewel inside the jewel hole. And I'm just putting a dab of liquid shellac on this side and then putting the jewel in and then let it rest. So I've got my camera set up here. The tricky part is going to be the focus on the camera. So if this goes out of focus, I apologize. But there's the jewel hole there. If I put my hand in the back, it focuses nicely. There's the hole in the roller table where I've got to sit this jewel in. The jewel is super small, so as people are saying, yeah, you can lick your finger, it'll help put it in and stuff, but it is really tricky. I might also be able to use a piece of Rodico and just grab the end of the jewel with a piece of Rodico and put it in. Not sure. It's going to be all about technique. All right, there's the jewel stuck on the back end of a piece of Rodico. I'm not sure if this will work. I'm going to trial this out just to see if I can take the jewel just the way it is like that, and I'm going to make sure the flat and the round parts are in the right place, and just see if I can just put this in the hole without any shellac or anything. kind of holding my breath when I do it. I think the good part about this technique is that the jewel goes in the hole. I just have to push down. I might need support from some tweezers here to do this. Alright, we're going to have to try this technique. Keep working on it. So I did it just by placing the Rodico here and then pushing down on the jewel. Now I don't think that's all the way through, so I'll have to check and see, because when I push down on it like this, it doesn't keep going down. And it should actually keep going down. So I'm going to lift this jewel out again so I don't lose it. And I'm going to check the hole and make sure it's clean. I might do this under a microscope, actually, because it's microscope kind of stuff, right? See, now it's nicely stuck in there and I can't move it. Now, normally what you'd do is you'd put the jewel in the hole and you'd put the shellac on the other side. But I was watching a gentleman online who actually put the shellac on the hole and then put the jewel in. And this jewel fitting here is pretty tight, I think, so I'm not sure if that technique would work. Because right now that jewel is in there nicely. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because it's in there nicely. I'm going to fling it around a bit. I'm going to turn this and see if I can actually see the jewel on the other side. Yeah, there it is. So the jewel's kind of bottomed out on the other side. It looks like it kind of went most of the way in, which is kind of strange, but that's what happened. I think that this jewel is really well fit onto this watch, right? So I don't think it's, so you can see the setting right there. I don't think, I'm going to poke it out with a needle. I don't think that the other jewel I'm going to work on is that accurately set, so let me just push this out with a needle. And there's the jewel right there. So I've got the jewel now on the Rodico. And there you can see the jewel on the Rodico, maybe. Let me see if I move that down. There it is. So there's the jewel on the Rodico. So I'm going to just make sure that it's absolutely clean on this side here of the roller table. So I'm taking a brush here to the roller table to make sure I don't have issues. And just make sure that that's clean on the other side of this roller table where that jewel hole is. So you just have to bear with me as I clean the hole. Should be clean. It shouldn't be an issue. So now I don't know how fast the liquid shellac actually sets. So I think if it's super small, it's going to set fast. So I've got to work fast if I'm going to do this. So there we are again, set up. Try to get a good view of it. All right, there's the jewel on the tip of the Rodico there, and getting ready to do the insertion to see if this works. Man, I'm still trying my technique at putting this jewel in place, and it is not easy. I've got it on the end of this Rodico, but the fit is so tight on this that I've done it and I've put it in, but if I put the shellac in and then do it and miss, the shellac could dry. So I need to continue working on my technique. It may actually be better to do this under the microscope too. So there's a jewel standing up in the rodico for me to pick up with my tweezers. All right, I'm going to grab the jewel again. There's the jewel there. Maybe I can grab it through here because I can see it better. Grab the jewel. Pick up my needle for helping me guide it. And there we go. And I think I had my hand off the angle again. So there it's in now. This is how you practice surgery, I think. So now I've got it in again, but my angle's off. So wherever I put my hand here, I've got to make sure that that angle is correct. So this time, the angle needs to be this way, just a bit more. Like that. There. I think like that. So that way when the tweezers get grabbed, you see the angle here? Pull that out like this and then see with this angle whether it's perfect again. There we go. So that worked. That's 3 times I've done it. So should I get out the shellac and try it? You know what? What the hell? All right, here we go. So I'm going to take my bottle of shellac, put just a tiny little drop on that hole. So this could be a complete failure, by the way, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to get some shellac on this shtick. There it is, and I'm just going to put a little tiny bit. Or what I thought would be a little tiny bit on that hole. Clean off my little dipper. And now grab that jewel. I think I may have way too much shellac there, by the way, but this is a trial, so this is the time to fail, as they say. So here we go. So now I've got the jewel here that I've got to grab. I think I'm going to grab it through the balance because so I can see the friggin' thing. Now if I fling this jewel again, I'm going to be swearing like you wouldn't believe. Alright, now I got to line this jewel up with the hole. This is the hard part because it's all about the focus of this. So I've got it kind of like this now. And I need to sit it in here pretty fast or that shellac will solidify. Hey, that might be trouble, folks. That might be trouble. I think that's trouble. I think I got myself a shellac mess here. I think the jewel is in the hole. I'm 87% sure. Of course, focusing on the screen is different than focusing on the other side. So if I focus on the screen, it's a little bit different than when I focus here. So, but I can remove this shellac from the edges here because I really don't need it, and then I can clean the jewel up after. And that shellac will dry, and I'll be able to chisel it away. I just poked my finger with the needle. Anyway, I'll let it dry. There we go. Clean that up. And I'm just going to let this dry off, and then I can clean it up with a screwdriver after it's dried off. So we'll let that dry off for a second. Alright, there's the jewel, and I pushed it too far in. So far my technique is really shitty. So I got to clean that up, likely heat it up with a spirit lamp, clean it all up, take the jewel out, start all over again. I may stop the video here just for your own viewing entertainment. Alright, I'm a beaten man. So tried the technique, failed miserably, even under the microscope. I've replaced impulse jewels a million times, but trying to do it by using the liquid shellac without removing the roller table is a biatch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat this up, because I actually have to push the jewel up a bit to level it off. Then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to put the liquid shellac on the other side, so, and clean it up. So the main lesson here to learn was that getting that jewel inside that little hole is almost friggin' impossible. So I just not sure if I would call it absolute failure, but it's pretty damn close. So I'm just going to lean this down. Let me see which way I can do this. Here we go. Like that, and heat this up. And as soon as it's hot enough, I should be able to just use this little tweezer thing here, and with it burning my face, just tap that jewel up a bit. Once I've tapped it up, I'm going to flip it around, let it cool off, and then put liquid jewel on the top. So the hard part, or liquid shellac on the top. The hard part was, in fact, the getting that jewel in the hole. Now this is a size 18 pocket watch, so I've seen, and getting a jewel in the hole, well, this is not off flat, because I think if it's off, you can just maneuver it a bit and then just place the jewel down and there's no issue, right? But if it's sitting on inside, the roller table's not off of the balance staff, then it becomes gamey as hell. So what I want to do is push this from the other side. And there it is. So it's rising up. So that was enough heat there to get that jewel to rise up. I'll flip that around really quickly and have a look at it to make sure it's not too far high or too far low or whatever. And it should go a little bit in more. Just like that. So there we go. So that jewel is now in place. See if I can, I got to do this without burning my finger. So there's the jewel sticking out there. So that's not hard. If you put a little heat in there, the shellac melts in like 2 seconds. So 2 milliseconds. And then normally what I'd do if I was using this tool, I'd put a flake of shellac on the top there, heat it up, it would melt, take away the heat, and then you're good. So, but I'll try the liquid shellac again, just for the heck of it, right? Just for the heck of it. So I'm just going to rearrange the camera here a bit. So there we go. There it is. And what I want to do is put the liquid shellac on that hole. All right, so there is the top of the jewel right there. So I just want to put a speck of liquid shellac on the top there. And I think I can probably just use this needle here because I can clean this off after. I can even sand it off after if needed. But the needle is fine enough for me to grab this liquid shellac and just take a drop of it and put it on the top. So let me just do that. Take it out of my little jar here that I've got with liquid shellac on it, and I want the right amount, so I just have to go in here, dip into the swimming pool like that, and I'm not sure if that's the right amount, but I want to put the lid on that jar as soon as possible. But let me just get the right angle here for you guys. It's funny because when you grab it with the with this needle, there we go. There we go. So that's probably all you need on top there, and we'll just let that dry, and then I'll check it out after. I'll check out if it's solid as Mount Rushmore. And I put the little tiny container of liquid shellac away, and we'll see if that holds the jewel in place. Then what I'll do is I'll clean that jewel up on the bottom to make sure there's no issue there, and we'll get that all in good order here. Let me just twist this so you can have a look at it. There it is there. And so it's focusing nicely. So there's the jewel there, and with the liquid shellac on the top as well, a little tiny bit of liquid shellac on the top. I made sure that it was kind of bubbled a bit, and you can kind of see it there at that angle. It's a tough close-up, man. It's a tough close-up. There it is there. Anyway, we'll clean that up and we'll be right back. Well, actually, this is it for the video. So this is enough fun for today, and good experimenting. We'll see if that holds the jewel in place. This was not an easy task, by the way. I think the way I normally do it is a lot easier than this. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And there is the jewel in place, looking good. A little cleanup required, but it's in there nicely, so no problems at all. So the liquid shellac does work. The hardest part I had was getting just a spot of it, first of all, and then the second hardest part was getting it to getting in the hole. I think recording it is not, you can't record this while you're doing it. I don't think it's possible, because I was using one eye in the stereo microscope to do this, trying to align it all, and you're much better on your bench doing this without any distraction. So it's doable, it's workable. So a shout out to Sonny for saying, hey, make some liquid shellac. So the liquid shellac I made is actually very good, and we'll let this harden overnight, and we'll see how that works. So thanks a lot. Again, thanks for watching my channel. I'm JD. Please subscribe, please share, and I'll show you all my watchmaking adventures, and this was a real trial, I'll tell you that. Okay, bye-bye.